Hi, welcome to a demonstration of the Vector Packet Processor application for Open Daylight. VPP is an open source, high performance data plane development platform. One application of VPP is the implementation of virtual switches that could be used in cloud or OpenStack networks. Okay, what do we have here? We have a network of VPP switches and they have interfaces connected to different hosts. In some cases, the hosts may be connected to different interfaces on different switches and they all need to talk to each other using layer 2. If that's the case, then we would build a virtual bridge domain. A bridge domain is a set of interfaces that belong to the same layer 2 broadcast or flooding domain. So here we have a set of VPP interfaces. They have been assigned to this virtual bridge domain. Now in some cases we might have VPP switches that belong to different IP networks. If that's the case, then we would need a tunnel to transport the layer 2 packets from server 1 to server 2 and vice versa. Now we have a lot going on here and it might be great if we had an application to make it easier to set up this process. And that's where the VPP app comes into play. It's an application that runs on top of Open Daylight and makes it much easier to manage VPP networks and to be able to set up virtual bridge domains. That's what I'm going to talk about next. VPP app has been implemented using the Open Daylight Deluxe UI framework. So I'll click on it over here and the first thing that will come up is the VPP inventory list. This is the set of remote VPP nodes that VPP app through Open Daylight have established a connection to. So here is the IP address and port number of VPP 2 and 1 respectively. They're in a connected state. If I want to add or connect to another remote pre-configured VPP, I click on the Mount VPP button here. I can come down here, enter a name, an IP address and port number that must match what is configured on the remote VPP node, and of course username and password credentials. Hit mount and then it would go out and connect to this third or brand new remote VPP node. I can delete a VPP node from the inventory list. I can edit the connection parameters while I'm connecting to a new VPP node, and I can then take a look at some of the detail that's configured or is part of a VPP node. So I'll click on detail right here and up pops some information. I can come over here first to the VPP detail portion of this display. I can select a different or specific VPP. I'll look at number 2 right now. Here's the IP address, port number, the connection status. Here's the VXLAN tunnel, and that's used to tunnel layer 2 packets between VPP nodes. Over here is a graphical rendering of the node along with all of the interfaces that are connected to this particular node. Now I can come down here and I'll see a list or a table of those same interfaces. So I've got the name, operational status if it's up or down, administrative status if it's up or down, and of course a MAC address. So I can come back here and then go back to the VPP list. VPP app has discovered the inventory of VPP nodes and their interfaces. Now let's go over to the Bridge Domain Manager. So I click here and nothing appears. Well, the first thing I want to do is add a new bridge domain. So I'll click on this button here and this little pop-up appears and we'll name it something. Let's call it Station 12. I hit the add button and now that bridge domain has been added to the system. The next thing I want to do is select a bridge domain that I've defined and then assign interfaces to it. So here's my bridge domain pull down right here. This is the set of bridge domains that I've defined and I want to work with Station 5. So I select that and let's see what we have here. We've got the Station 5 bridge domain, and in fact there's been a couple of interfaces that have already been assigned to the Station 5 bridge domain. And if I come over here to my interface table, I can see that in fact these two interfaces have been assigned to Station 5. If I want to assign another interface, I click on this little slide out here and the graphical depiction is updated showing the new interface that was added to the bridge domain, and also the table is updated over here. If I want to unassign an interface to the bridge domain, I click here as well. So this is a nice way of very easily adding or assigning and unassigning interfaces to a bridge domain. If I want to remove a bridge domain, then I would need to unassign all of the interfaces of that bridge domain, and then a Remove Bridge Domain button would appear up here. Reload just allows me to clear up all the clutter on the screen so that I can select a new bridge domain to work with, or I can add a new bridge domain. Now, I mentioned earlier that if we had interfaces belonging to the same bridge domain located on different VPP nodes that were contained in separate IP networks, then we would need a tunnel. And it looks like we might have the case here because we've got interfaces belonging to Station 5 that are connected to different VPP nodes. But how do I know if that tunnel was established? Well, I can scroll down here to the Toggle Underlay button, and that will read and display the tunnel that has been established between the two VPP nodes. So up here on top, I've got my, if you will, bridge domain overlay composed of the interfaces that are connected to the common virtual bridge domain, and then the underlay, which represents the IP tunnel that has been established between VPP1 and VPP2. All right, I've shown you the VPP app. It's an application that runs on top of Open Daylight and makes it very easy to manage VPP networks and to be able to create and configure virtual bridge domains.